So throughout the summer, Manchester United have been routinely linked with former Ajax player Frenkie de Jong and current Ajax player Antony. However, at this point, despite most of the United fan base seemingly still wanting these two, I think United should cut ties and just move on to other options. The reason I think this is slightly different for both players, and I'm going to be using some past examples to prove my point as well. But before I go any further, if you need a place where you can keep up to date with the latest transfer news, find all the match stats you need from games across the globe, and watch highlights and stream live football matches, then you need to download the OneFootball app. I use the OneFootball app because it's completely free, and not only do they have stats and transfer news, but they also have videos to watch and articles to read, which is where I get a lot of my ideas for new videos. And as I said before, you can stream live football matches and watch highlights all on the app. Downloading the OneFootball app will help support the channel as well, so I'll leave it linked in the description below. So we'll start off with Frenkie de Jong, and I did do a whole video looking at the player I would sign instead of de Jong, so I'll leave that linked in the description and in the eye above. But what is my actual reason for not wanting de Jong at this point? Well, firstly, whilst I do think de Jong is an outstanding player and has the potential to be one of the best central midfielders in the world, particularly in a system like Ten Hag's, I do feel like he's overvalued, not just by his likely transfer fee, which is going to be in excess of £70 million, but also his salary, which I imagine to be at least £300,000 per week, which is around £15 million per year. Now, I don't have a problem with United paying this sort of fee and wages, but you have to factor in that a fee and salary package this size is essentially two players for United. What I mean by this is that United could probably bring in a very good player for around £30 to £35 million on a salary of between £5 to £8 million per year. And so essentially by signing de Jong for the expense I previously mentioned means that United can't sign another player for the squad. This is why players who are this expensive and on this higher salary not only have to be top level players currently, but also have to have such a big difference to the side that they are probably worth two regular first team players. If you look at someone like Virgil van Dijk, I think he's a great example of a player who is worth the fee and the salary paid, whereas players like Griezmann, Dembele, Coutinho, and even United players like Harry Maguire, Paul Pogba and Lukaku over the years not only turned out to be not performing to a top level consistently, but didn't have the impact of two players on the side, which is kind of what you need when you're paying that sort of fee that is going to be that high and a salary package that is that high as well. And I think it's this what distinguishes, say, an £80 million player from a £40 million player. With Frenkie de Jong, whilst I do think he'll without doubt improve United, I think compared to other options on the market, he's not worth the fee, salary, or the hassle that is coming with this transfer. I know what you're thinking, who are these players that I would prefer? Well, I'm going to come on to them in just a second. I would prefer United to sign lesser known talents for around the £30 to £40 million mark, rather than blowing a large amount of the budget on one player. Unless of course that player is a top level player and will improve United so much he's almost worth the money. I don't think that at the moment de Jong is this kind of player. He's a very good player, but I think he's more of a cog in the machine rather than the main part. Just for reference, players who I do think are worth this sort of fee and salary are Lautaro Martinez, Christopher Nkunku and Matthias de Ligt, who are all players I think would have a major impact on this United side, just as Van Dijk did for Liverpool. But I would say the major reason why I'm not really pushing for the de Jong transfer to happen is that he doesn't seem 100% convinced on coming, which to me is always a red flag. It seems like de Jong wants to stay at Barcelona but is being forced out for financial reasons, and that concerns me, especially when paying such a high fee and salary for a player. I think players like Yuri Tielemans, Fabian Ruiz, Hassan Marwa, Konrad Laimer and Maxime Kakare, even though he has just recently signed a new deal at Lyon, would all cost half of de Jong's £70 million or less and would all be better options in central midfield. I don't think there's much difference in current ability between all five of them and de Jong, with all providing the press resistance and progressive passing that Ten Hag is looking for in a new central midfielder. For Antony, my reasons are slightly different. Ajax are demanding a fee in the same region as a de Jong fee that Barcelona are demanding, which is around £70 to £80 million, and that's just far too much in my opinion. I'd say de Jong is worth between 50 and 60 million, but to me Antony is a £30 to £40 million player, and the only reasons why his price is being inflated so much is because firstly Ajax have already sold a lot of players this summer and aren't in financial need. Secondly, it's the Manchester United tax, as we saw with Lisandro Martinez, who when Arsenal were linked with him and looked to be leading the race, seemed to be going for around 35 to £40 million, but in the end United ended up paying closer to 60 million. And thirdly, it's because he's a young Brazilian attacker. Now don't get me wrong, I don't think Antony's a bad player, I actually think he has huge potential. I just don't think that a move to Manchester United or any big club really is what's best for his development. At this point in his career, he's very much a moments player, a player who looks insane in highlights compilations because of these outrageous skills, passes and goals that he produces. However, as a top level player player, you need to be doing this consistently, not just in patches, and I think that's my biggest criticism of Antony right now. And if we delve into his numbers from last season, you can see what I mean. Last season, Antony completed 1.9 key passes per 90, which only ranked 27th out of every player to play more than 15 Eredivisie games, with players like Reiss Nelson, Bruma and Mario Götze all recording higher rates. Antony is seen as an incredible flair dribbler, however he ranked just 24th for dribbles with 2.2 per 90, behind the likes of Bruma, Reiss Nelson and Luis Sinisterra. He did score a pretty decent 8 goals in 21 Eredivisie appearances, which is nothing to sniff at, but I just feel like his underlying output is not at the same level as some people would expect. He definitely has a potential and is just 22 years old, so this isn't a statement that Antony won't be a top level winger. I just think it's going to take another 2 or 3 seasons to reach that, and so to me spending £70 million plus on him is just not a worthwhile investment right now for United. Maybe he's worth a gamble at 30 to 35 million, but I'd rather United go for Eredivisie talents like Cody Gakpo at PSV or even Luis Sinisterra before he's moved to Leeds. I should say that Antony does rank 8th in the Eredivisie for player ratings according to Who Scored, which do seem to be fairly accurate in my opinion, so Antony is definitely one of the standout performers in the Eredivisie, but I just think that for the price and what United need right now, there are better, more established options on the market. Now I won't go into who I would sign as the alternative to Antony, as I am planning to release a full video breaking that down, so make sure you subscribe to the channel and click the bell so you don't miss out on that, and check out some of my other videos which will be linked in the description, and if that video is out, that will also be in the description as well.